Alex here with a legal nuts and bolts video on towing complaints. A towing complaint is a little known mechanism that can be used to get your car back very, very quickly if you feel it has been unlawfully towed. The reason I say little known is because one of the judges that I went before said he only sees one about every 8 years. I think he was on the bench for maybe, I don't know, 15 or 16 around then, so I imagine that he had only ever seen mine and then one before. They're just that rare, just because nobody knows what they are. In Nevada, there's a statute, actually there's a statutory scheme that explains who can authorize a tow and what has to be in place for a tow to be legal. The nutshell version of it is that it's the property owner. A property owner can call a towing company to have a car towed off of their property. The rules are not really that complicated. If it's a business entity of some sort, they have to have signs posted. The signs have to state certain things like where the car would be towed if it was towed, like the company. The statute, I think, has to be posted. I'm not quite sure. Trying to think of what else. I don't think there are any specifics on little teeny tiny details such as how many signs have to be posted and like if they have to be posted in the entrances and exits and how far apart they have to be. There's nothing like that, so it can get a little bit murky if you have a case where there may be signs but you feel like they weren't in really a conspicuous area. In the 2 times I had to file a towing complaint, it was very cut and dry. There just weren't any signs anywhere at all, not a single one. And then I helped a friend one time, same situation, no signs anywhere. So that didn't come up, but I imagine that that may come up. And from what I know, there is some municipal code in the Reno, I think there's some in the Reno Municipal Code. I don't think there's any in the Sparks Municipal Code. I'm not sure about the Las Vegas Municipal Code. But if anyone here is curious about more specifics on the towing rules, there's probably little teeny tiny details in the Municipal Code that this the Nevada Revised Statute just doesn't have. By the way, I just want to mention right now that this is a creature of Nevada law. So, like, what I mean by that is the towing complaint itself is actually written right into the Nevada Revised Statute. So what that means is you better look into your state's statutory scheme if you want to see if your state has anything like this, because this is not any kind of common law thing, or this is not something that just anyone can do. The law has to create this right, and it may go by different names in other states. In Nevada, as I mentioned, it's called a towing complaint. So the same statutory scheme that describes when a property, oh, I didn't mention this, but if the property owner is a homeowner, so like if somebody parks in like your residential, your lawn or your driveway, or blocks your driveway, something like that, I don't believe there are any requirements at all. You can just call the car and have it towed. That's kind of a no-brainer. I think everyone knows you can't park in someone else's driveway. So I just wanted to mention that, though, that the statutes do have a special section for, like, if somebody did happen to park in someone's driveway, the owner of that property could call to have the car towed. So what I was going to say was the statutory scheme that describes all that stuff that I just mentioned also contains the description of the whole towing complaint process and what the court can do when you file a towing complaint. When you file a towing complaint, it has to be filed in the justice court. So you can't file it in like the district court or something like that. The justice court has to set a hearing within 4 days. That is the most, I think I mentioned in the beginning of the video that it was a little known and powerful mechanism. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but I'm going to mention that now, that it is very powerful, because I've never seen that anywhere in Nevada law, except for for towing complaints. You file a towing complaint, you get a hearing in 4 business days. That's pretty amazing. It definitely came into play each time that I filed a towing complaint. It kind of shocked the defendant as to how quick the hearing was going to come, and one of them in particular didn't even show up, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about that a little bit more later on in the video. I wanted to finish describing how the towing complaint works. Once a towing complaint has been filed, you get your hearing in 4 days. Make sure you serve the property owner fast, like the day of or the next day. Have a plan to get them served legally. And do it fast. If you wait even 2 days or 3 days, that may be considered unfair for them to just get 1 day's notice that they've been sued. I was seriously concerned about that when I saw the law that said I got a hearing in 4 days. I was happy to get a hearing that fast, but I immediately thought to myself, I need to get it served today or tomorrow, because otherwise I have a bad feeling a due process defense is going to come up, because it's pretty. I mean, I can't imagine in any other type of legal action anywhere where you can serve someone and then have to go to court a day or two later and that be okay. That did come up again. I'm going to bring that up later in the video. Now I want to state this right now. What I'm about to say is not consistent with what I actually did. In hindsight, the way that I use a towing complaint may have been incorrect. I still won both times, but I want to say that right now because when I go into my examples, it's not going to sound consistent with what I'm about to say. What I'm about to say is that it appears to me that you're not supposed to sue the towing company when you use a towing complaint. Under the law, the court can order the car returned, and the court can order the property owner to pay for the tow. In other words, the court seems to place the blame soundly at the feet of the property owner, not the towing company. So it appears to me that the towing company is not supposed to be a defendant. But I may be wrong. This is something that you definitely should look into before you just trust me. This is definitely something that you want to do research on, even if you're in Nevada. As I mentioned, the court has a very specific type of relief that it can give according to the statute, the statute that describes a towing complaint. And that relief is to have your car towed back to you, and also for the towing company to be paid. There is no other relief outside of those boundaries that the statute describes in any way, shape, or form. So I'm not sure that you can pay for your car, get it back, and then use the towing complaint to get reimbursed. I'm not sure that this can be done. When I described a similar action that was created by statute in another video called Summary Eviction for Non-Payment of Rent, I talked a little bit about that. And I believe that this is something that falls under the issue of subject matter jurisdiction. Again, I have a video on that. These are all things for people to look into. I'm not going to go into technical details on them, but these are just some things that I've thought about now in hindsight. When I did my towing complaints, I really didn't have the experience that I have now. And in hindsight, I'm not sure that I did everything right. But now I'm going to go ahead and go into my story as to the 2 times that I filed one. The first time, I was really young, working at Circuit City, salesman, and naive. I left my car in the parking lot because it broke down. I thought to myself, it probably won't get towed because there's no signs anywhere saying that my car will get towed. Well, my car got towed. I went ahead and filed the towing complaint in the Justice Court. I got my hearing within 4 days. Around day 2 or 3, the property owners sent somebody over to post signs because they read my complaint and they saw that I was complaining that there were no signs posted, and they saw that that was the law. They posted signs, so immediately I suspected that they were going to go to court and say that they were already there. I just had a witness that worked with me at Circuit City appear as a witness on my behalf, and I also took some pictures of the signs. The pictures were great because what they did was they posted the sign underneath a pre-existing sign, and the pre-existing sign was welded onto the pole. It was all steel and everything. The new sign was zip tied. They like punched holes into the sign, they put a zip tie through it and strapped it up. So it really helped my case. I had my witness testify to the court. First I want to mention that I paid to have my car back first. So I already had my car back at the time. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I don't think I was supposed to use a towing complaint since I already had my car back. I think at that point I would have had to use like a small claims, which would have taken months to finish and get my money back. But I wanted to use a towing complaint because it looked more appealing and it was quicker. And it did work, even though I'm not sure now that that was the right thing to do. The judge ruled in my favor. The judge believed me that the signs weren't there, that the signs were posted after the fact, and the judge understood that I already had my car back. So instead of ordering the property owner to pay the towing company, the judge ordered the property owner to reimburse me. It's fair, I mean, it's logical, but I'm not sure that this is something that you can do under the principles of subject matter jurisdiction. Please watch that video if you want to get into that. I just don't want somebody to do what I did and then it kind of backfire on them. Luckily, the property owner didn't send any attorneys to fight me. They just sent like a manager or something. By the way, I need to do a video on this. I'm not sure that non-attorneys can represent business entities in towing complaints. I know for sure that they can't do it in Nevada in any other type of action except for small claims actions. And the reason I say that is because there is a statute in the small claims statutory scheme that specifically says that a business entity can send a representative. I just want to mention right now that by them not sending an attorney, they may have all been in violation of the law, and I may have been able to confront them on that, which I did do to a whole nother person, a whole nother company later on. I may talk about that in another video, but I'm not going to go into that now. Second case. Let's see, what did I do? For the second case, I moved into an apartment on day 2 or 3. They towed my car. I went to the manager. I said, why'd you do that? They said that they have some guy that drives around and checks people's plates to see if they live there, and if not, tows the car. That was extremely annoying to me because, first off, nobody's calling to say somebody parked in my spot. Second off, I live there. I couldn't get, they wouldn't give me my money back. I think they probably thought I was just really young and naive and I would just take it. And they would have probably had to report the loss to their superiors, and they probably didn't want to get in trouble. So it was probably better to just try and say, oh, sorry, we can't give you the money back. Too bad, so sad. Anyway, I had already had experience with a towing complaint, so I went and did the whole thing all over again. This time I sued the property owner and the towing company because at the time I was thinking to myself, I wonder if I will get in trouble for not suing the towing company. Again, as I mentioned previous in the video, I'm not sure that that was something that I should have done. Luckily, I didn't get in trouble for it, what happened was that when court came about, the towing company showed up, I showed up, and the property owner did not show up. And I told the judge that under the law, I would like to enter default against the property owner and alleviate the towing company of any wrongdoing. The judge said he understood and that he was going to do precisely that. He dismissed with prejudice the complaint as to the towing company, and he entered a default judgment in favor of me and against the property owner, which was the apartment complex. The apartment complex later on tried to set aside my default. Please watch my video on setting aside default. When they filed their motion to set aside default, they based their reason on not having enough time to prepare a case. And they said that I should not have gotten a hearing in 4 days because it wasn't an emergency. Well, what they didn't know was that the Nevada revised statute compelled and obligated the court to set a hearing in 4 days. The judge knew the law, and the judge denied their motion. He cited the law saying that this was not an emergency. This was set in 4 days because that's what the law commands us to do. So once the default judgment was, once the motion to set aside was denied, I got my money. So that was great. Again, same thing. I had already gotten my car back. So I got the property owner to reimburse me directly. Again, I think this is the 3rd or 4th time I've said this. I'm not sure that that's within the boundaries of how a towing complaint is supposed to work. So please think carefully before doing that. I just don't want somebody here to try that and then it backfire on them. Just do the research very carefully and consider consulting an attorney on it or taking it to the self-help center. The 3rd time was a friend. She parked in my apartment complex and her car got towed. She parked in covered parking. She shouldn't have done that. But this was my 3rd time of having, well, this wouldn't really be for me because it wasn't my actual case. It was just my friend. But by then I had already done 2 towing complaints and I won both of them. So I told her, you know, you shouldn't have done that, but they don't have any signs posted anywhere. So you could just get your car back. And she was extremely, extremely poor at the time. She had no money at all. And she knew that if she didn't get her car back, it was just going to get auctioned off and she would lose her entire car. That's pretty scary to think that some people out there can be so poor and the only thing they have to their name is their car. She did have a place to live, but really, it's sad to think that somebody's car could get towed and just because they can't come up with a couple $100, they're going to lose their whole car. That totally could have happened, and now that makes me think maybe this is something that's happened to people out there. Talk about messed up. So anyway, she filed a towing complaint the correct way because she didn't have her car, and she sued the property owner. And I do believe she sued the towing company again. I don't know if that's right, but when it went to court, the court ruled in her favor. There were no signs posted. This company did bring an attorney, but what happened at this point was that the towing company got really ticked off with the property owner, and the towing company returned her car prior to the hearing date. She sued, I think on Monday. She got her hearing Thursday, and they brought the car back the next day or maybe Wednesday. So when it went to court, she told the judge what happened. The car's already been brought back to me, And the judge was like, well, that's it. It's done. She got her car back. Obviously, this wasn't done correctly. And that was that. I think maybe behind the scenes, the property owner was thinking of throwing the towing company under the bus, and they probably got really upset about that and said, you know what, screw you, we're just going to take the car back right now. I'm not sure of what happened behind the scenes or what was going on with that towing company and property owner, but whatever it was, it worked out in the favor of my friend. She got her car back. I can say with absolute certainty, if I didn't help her with that, she would be carless for who knows how many years. So it feels really good to have helped her out with that, even though she really shouldn't have parked in covered parking. Everybody knows not to do that. But anyway, even though we're supposed to comply with the law as citizens, the towing companies and the property owners are also supposed to comply with the law. I mean, like, yeah, she shouldn't have done that, but at the same time, the law says post signs, so do what you're supposed to do. Everyone has to follow the law, not just some people, not just poor people, not just rich people, not just companies, not just individuals. We're all supposed to follow the law. If you don't follow the law, it's going to blow up in your face. So it blew up in their face. So I guess you could say I'm 3-0 on towing complaints. I hope that people find this video to be informative. I don't really have anything else to say, so I'm going to go ahead and end this video, but definitely post something in the comments below if this is something that you want to comment on. So I'll see you guys next time.